What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is D-Free. Here today in this video, we will talk about Virtual Dokkan Ultimate Clash. I'm going to give you guys everything that you need to know in order to prepare for this event. If you are a global player, of course, if you haven't played it yet. And if you're a JP player, if you played Dokkan Battlefield, same name, same game, different name. If you've played it, of course, maybe this helps you out. Maybe you get a little bit better at it, whatever the case is. So I hope that this information is helpful. And if you guys enjoy this content, make sure you do hit subscribe if you are not already subscribed to the channel. Moving on, so we're going to start off by explaining the general rules of this, and then from there we'll transition into team building and general tips. I'll also end this off with some gameplay for you guys to see what you need to know a little bit more, right? So moving on, the first little requirement is you must be of rank 150 or higher. So to help you guys out if you're not already there, I will leave a link in the description to a video guide I did not too long ago that'll help you guys out with completing your ranking up process to 150. Typically, I'd recommend getting higher just in general. It doesn't help you with this, but just general gameplay, more team cost, etc., etc. So moving on, another requirement for this is you can only use characters of UR rarity or higher. You also can take up to 100 of your own characters into this event. Again, all UR rarity or higher, it will literally not let you select any SSR, SR, or any of that. So if you have any SSRs in your box, and I know a lot of you guys probably do, that you haven't grinded the medals for, or whatever the case is, maybe you need some more Kai medals to get them to UR rarity, whatever. Try to get that done, okay? Because you're going to need that in order to take those characters into this mode. They will literally not be eligible, even if they are natural SSRs, they can become URs if they are not already URs. So remember that going forward. Now, another reason that you would want to play this, I always get asked when it comes to these game modes is, hey, why do you want to play? Does this help you? Does it do anything special? So there are a couple of things that happen with this. You are able to get various rewards, such as stones, all that stuff. In fact, I might as well just show you guys. I'm going to get out of here. And we'll transition back. This is where it is. Same spot as the World Tournament typically is. You come in, just like the Extreme Z Battle, it has a fancy overlay and all that stuff, the UI. On the left-hand side, you see the prizes. The prizes do refresh periodically, so be aware of that as well. So we're going to scroll down. There are a whole bunch of prizes, orbs, Kais, all your general stuff, stones, yada, yada. So be aware of that. I believe there's also some missions that are tied into this as well. So just, you know, it's normal stuff. But, you know, when we get out of there, we get over to the Baba Shop. There are other things you can exchange for. So another thing that you're going to want to be aware of as far as that's concerned is you get this currency here, which allows you to exchange for, presumably it'll happen on global as well, another copy of the LR Ginyu Force. You also can get the character here that turns into the LR Ginyu Force physical type. Meta Cooler, these Goku and Vegetas that are also in the art over there are here as well. I'll also be showcasing those guys. Finally, you also can get medals, you know, box space, yada yada, all this other stuff, right? Yada yada is the phrase of the video. So yeah, just be aware, you can get a whole lot of stuff there. So there obviously is reason to play. So we're going to come back over here. And the very first thing I want to recommend to you guys is make sure you are aware of your characters and you build your teams accordingly. So the good thing about this is it does show you all of the opponents that you are going to face beforehand. So round 1, you have an int opponent and then an AGL boss. There's round 2/level 2, level 3, same thing. So what generally happens in this is right now with all these here. Now, I just want to point out that this list will change, right? Because it took a while for them to add a couple more bosses. I think initially round 3 only had like 2 bosses or whatever, or 2 opponents and then 1 boss, excuse me. Just for future reference, there's only 1 boss per stage if I say otherwise at some point in the video. But this will update. They'll even change the typings. Maybe your AGL boss isn't an AGL boss or things like that. Or the int opponent, maybe he's a physical type or for whatever reason. They'll do that to keep you on your toes. So, of course, you're going to have to kind of take a look at this and be aware of what's going on. But, again, they might add more characters that you face and all that other stuff. This is just what's here right now for me on this version of the game. So I just wanted to future-proof the video and let you know that. So be aware of that. What I typically do is I take a notepad and then just kind of jot down the types of opponents I'll face and when I'll face them, because it's actually important knowing, and it's very good to have the foresight to know what you're going to face, you know, beforehand. So again, you want to build your team accordingly, and here's an example of what happens is you come in, again, it shows your whole box. We're looking at my Potara category right now. It actually turns off, actually, let me actually stay in Potara really quick before we proceed. This is a really good spot to be in because we're here now. I want to point out something really quick for you guys. When it comes to your characters and you're choosing your characters, there are several things you can do. You can even, when you're getting into the gameplay, you'll see this in a moment when we actually do some gameplay, you can use characters of the same name, but there's a stipulation to that. So you can use characters of the same name in the same team, okay? You can bring these two in the same team, and it'll work just fine. I don't believe that they'll link because they're the same character, technically. You know, there are some exclusions to that rule, but typically, you know, they may or may not link, but that's fine. But one thing that you cannot do, the only thing, in fact, you cannot do is do this. So you can bring both of them, of course, which means that you'd be able to use more than one Super Vegito or things of that nature. Use one Super Vegito versus one boss and use the other one later on. But the reason why this is important is because you have your own leader, and then you have a sub-leader, which is also your character as well. You do not get to take a friend for this. So you basically bring a 7th unit, which acts as the secondary leader. You get their full leader skill and all of that, as opposed to like the World Tournament. And this is important for this exact reason, because when you jump in, what I would recommend doing is you can do something like this. You can bring a Kefla and a Kefla. That works. They're the same card, but since they don't have the same portrait, it doesn't matter. You can literally do it, and I'll even show you guys that proof in a moment. But be aware of your leaders, and this is why I said build your team accordingly, because if you have the opportunity to, you can bring these characters here and lead with these two, and then all of a sudden you have a really, really good Potara team, right? Because these are the two best leaders for that category. Now, of course, that's the super pay-to-win version because you have both characters, right? But there are other categories, particularly like Realm of Gods, Universe Survival Saga, for example. Let's go over there. That feature various free-to-play options, such as this guy. He's a free-to-play option. So you could have your UI Goku and then run this guy as your sub-leader and then fill in the spots in the middle of the rest of the team and things like that. This actually, yeah, this is the category. So be aware of that because you have to bring your own leaders. So I'm going to go ahead and just let it auto-select, and I'll bring in the Kefla as another option here. So, by the way, there are various units that have very good leader skills, like this Kale. She offers 2 key, 90%. I'm not going to go over a lot of this because there are a lot, but if the unit recently got an awakening, chances are they have a really good leader skill. So these are the types of characters that are really good as, you know, mono sub-leaders or things like that, because I typically recommend running like a mono team, which is all like physical types or all AGL. It's a little cleaner and easier to do than running in categories, by the way, because categories have the types advantage or disadvantage or things like that. There's a little bit more that can go wrong with a category team, despite having the higher stats and things like that. So again, there are a lot of characters that are very, very good in this mode, if only because of their leader skill. Kale's very good in general, but again, don't overlook characters just because maybe you don't think they're good and things of that nature, but they actually really are good. I'm going to drop this character and we'll grab that Kefla, wherever the heck she is. So we'll go back over to the Potara category. So Kefla, there you are. And also, like, this character here has the Realm of Gods category leader skill as well, so she could technically be a really, really good sub-leader, for example. So here we go. We are in the normal area where you go ahead and face your opponent. So again, like I said, remember to have foresight. Remember to have foresight because there's an int opponent here. You do not want to dump your best physical units here because you will have to face the int opponent later on. So be aware of that, especially because level 1 is pretty easy. So for my example, like I said, you can bring, again, these two as your 2 leaders and it'll work. I'll show you a little bit more about that in a moment. You can even do this. But if I were to bring two of this exact same Super Vegito, it wouldn't have let me do it. It'll let me bring it, but I would click on this and say this is the physical one right here. It would be grayed out. You wouldn't be able to take it. Unfortunately, I should have brought him to show that. But again, that's generally how this works. In fact, I'll actually do that really quick just to make sure there's no confusion at all about what I'm talking about. I'll jump back in. It'll let me do my characters again just to make sure, again, there's no confusion whatsoever about what I am talking about. So there we go with that. And we'll fight here. And as you see, the physical Super Vegito did get grayed out. You cannot take him, but you can take 2 or 3 or however many physical Vegito blues you want. You could take Super Vegitos, and then I'd be able to take the other one if he was reversed, which, by the way, if you want to do this, you can take double leaders. Just make sure that the other one is reversed like the 2 Keflas are. You know, they cannot be the exact same portrait. That's the only thing. So it all works exactly the same. You get the full leader skill boost and everything. I'm just going to grab a bunch of random units. So how this works is you got your 2 leaders and the units that are in the middle. It shows the leader skills there. So all together, my units are going to start off with 6 key and then the percentage, or 5 key, I guess, because Kef was 2 unawakened, and all that stuff. So let's jump into our first boss fight. Well, our first fight, and then we'll move on to the boss fight afterwards. So again, that's really, really tricky. I don't know if a lot of people know that. There is a turn limit, technically. You get 10 turns, it looks like. But, I mean, I don't really think it should take you 10 turns to beat this guy. We're going to go over there, give you this, and then Rose should finish it off. So again, early on, it's pretty easy. Later on into the event, you will encounter other things. Be aware that some bosses can't be stunned, some bosses can't be debuffed, things of that nature. Some bosses, even like Zamasu, he has regeneration pretty much every turn. There are other little things like that that, of course, would make you want to be aware of things. Like, for example, we'll be a little bit more, what's the word? Conservative as far as that's concerned. For example, against Zamasu, at first he was an It type, I believe, and like a good super physical team just ran him over, and all the counter units that super physical has between the Vegetos and all that stuff ran him over really easily. They did change his typing on a little bit later, so it wasn't as easy to use that type of team, but the healing wasn't enough to counteract all the counter hits and all the additional attacks that physical was able to throw at you. So, you know, that was something that I was able to do pretty easily just personally, right? So we're going to finish him off here. We'll see the boss unlock. And we'll even go over the boss really quickly and then move on. And I'll show you guys the Realm of Gods. And then, like, I think I still have that Kai with me. Hopefully I didn't drop her at the last second. I think I kind of did. I just want to go as quickly as possible for you guys. I don't want this to be a 20-minute video. Come on, go! I feel like we're kind of getting there, though, so forgive me otherwise. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody's aware of everything that you need to know, like I said in the very beginning. And I'm still a little bit sick, so by the way, if I sound a little sick, forgive me. So AGL boss, he is my gateway into the next opponent. It appears I do still have ROG active. So here we go, ROG leader, ROG sub leader. Typically, you want to bring tech types, so I'll just funnel in some techs. And like I said, don't use too many of your good leaders. Like, if you plan on using Jiren later in mono STR or something, don't use him here. It's too early. I'm just throwing units in, not the best practice. Be aware of that. Please, please, please be aware of that. So I know it's not the best example, but I just wanted to go through really quickly. So we'll take this team. We'll see what we can do, and we'll be good from here. In fact, this team might struggle a little bit. We'll go with this. Maybe not. Yeah, my gameplay is really bad right now. It's like Vegeto's fine in the first spot. Whatever. He's good. I'll give you that. So the Kai's leader skill is actually kind of annoying because of the key deficiency. And like I was saying earlier with the other categories and stuff, there are various free-to-play options or easier to acquire options that you can use to kind of fill in some of these gaps. So Vegito, if I get lucky with supers, should be able to almost solo this, depending on what happens here, supers and crits, etc. So yeah, like if I get lucky, of course he only gets 2 attacks. Great. Perfect. That's exactly what needed to happen there. Alright, so we're going to do this, and that should pretty much be the end of this guy this round, hopefully. UI is kind of slow. I haven't used this AGL blue combo in a very long time, but we'll see what happens here. Alright, so we're going to get the attack off. Hopefully we get some crits. Hopefully we get some crit. There's a crit. Okay. So UI does finish it off, and that unlocks round 2. So round 2 just now popped up. And like I said, it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier just to use the mono teams. But, you know, if you need to use a category team, feel free to. Another thing to be aware of is pretty much... actually, never mind. I already mentioned that. Round 2 does open up, and then same thing. You just kind of go through, and that's it. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe if you are new. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, make sure to leave a resounding thumbs up. I want to try to get over 1K likes on this video. Share the video out with your friends if they play the game or if they need help or just in general to prepare for this as well. So have an awesome day, and I'll catch all of you in the next one.